Hey Connor, you told me I had to do a reading of Breaking Dawn by Stephanie Meyer from the Twilight series. I have to read this for 5 minutes. I've made a personal challenge of this to read this book and not throw up, although I did prepare this. My personal views about this book is, you see, I have this book, okay, purely because I was told by a few people going, it is an excellent read, you will love this book. At least you'll love this series, sorry. You'll love this series. You so should get it. I can't believe you're the only human on this planet who hasn't read it. So I was just like, oh, okay. So I went down and I got it in the bargain bucket, like all 4 books for about 20 quid. So I was just like, that's not so bad. And if everybody seems to like it, then surely it can't be that bad. So I got the books and I don't like them. I don't like them at all. My mother liked these, so I gave them to her. But it's not going to stop me from attempting to mutilate this book through the process of reading it. Although I'm not going to do an Alex on it and like start tearing out pages out of the book. I mean, like, to be honest, okay? This book used to be a tree. Think about it. It used to be a tree. This book used to be something that gave life to others. It used to be a home to little wildlife creatures like squirrels and voles, and there were plants growing around it. Just imagine that. And then one day it was torn up, sliced down into thin, finely pieces, and is used as toilet paper with print on it and sold expensively to people. I'm not happy. Now, you're making me read this book. And don't say you're sorry, because you know you're not. You're enjoying every minute of this rant. I think I might do some funny voices. I'll see what I can do. I think there's one character in this chapter. Oh yeah, there's Seth Clearwater. Seth Clearwater is a cousin of Jacob, who for the first 2 books you were like, oh my goodness, he's like a normal and encourageable human character, person we can relate to, and Bella so should go for it before he goes bonkers in the brain. Seth Clearwater is actually probably the only consistent character and the only nice character, so he'll be getting a normal voice. Everything else, I won't like. Chapter 4, The Jester. The wedding flowed into the reception partly smoothly, proof of Alice's flawless planning. It was just twilight over the river. The ceremony lasted exactly the right amount of time, allowing the sun to set behind the trees. The light in the trees glimmered as Edward led me through the glass back doors, making the white flowers glow. There were another 10,000 flowers out there, serving as a fragrant, airy tent over the dance floor, set up on the grass under 2 of the ancient cedars. Things slowed down and relaxed as the mellow August surrounded us. The little crowd spread out under the soft shine of the twinkle lights, and we were greeted by our friends who we just embraced. There was time to talk now, to laugh. Congrats, guys! Seth Clearwater told us as he ducked his head under the edge of the flower garland. His mother, Sue, was tight by his side, eyeing the guests with weary intensity. Her face was thin and fierce, an expression that accented by her short, severe hairstyle. It was as short as her daughter Leia's. I wondered if she cut it in the same way as a show of solidarity. Billy Black on Seth's other side was not as intense as Sue. When I looked at Jacob's father, I always felt like I was seeing 2 people rather than just one. There was the old man in the wheelchair with the lined face and the white smile that everyone saw. A white smile? Does he have like lipstick on or something? What's a white smile? And then there was the... Here's something funny, okay? Okay? Here's a description of Billy Black as everybody sees, along with the white smile that everyone saw. Full stop. Okay? Capital and. There is no point for that and. It should have went either directly as a comma or then. There was the direct sentence. This makes no sense. Who edits this? Anyway. And then there was the direct descent of a long line of powerful magical chieftains, soaked in the authority he was born with, though the magic had, in the absence of a catalyst, skipped his generation. Billy was still part of the power and the legend. It flowed straight through him. It flowed into his son, the heir to the magic, who had turned his back on it. That left Sam Ewing to act as the chief of legend and magic now. Billy seemed oddly at ease, considering the company and the event. His black eyes sparkled as if he'd just gotten some good news. I was impressed by his composure. This wedding must have seemed like a bad thing, the worst thing that could happen to his best friend's daughter in Billy's eyes. I knew it wasn't easy for him to restrain his feelings, considering the challenge of this event foreshadowed to the ancient treaty between the Cullens and the Quillialites, the treaty that prohibited the Cullens from ever creating another vampire. The wolves knew a breach was coming, but the Cullens had no idea how they would react. Before the alliance, it would have meant an immediate attack, a war. That's it, just. But now they knew each other. Would there be forgiveness instead? As if in response to that thought, Seth leaned towards Edward, arms extended. Edward returned the hug with his free arm. Why, is Bella hanging on to him like a weight? Apparently so. I saw Sue shudder delicately. It's good to see things working out for you, man, Seth said. I'm happy for you. Thank you, Seth. It means a lot to me. Edward pulled away from Seth and looked at Sue and Billy. Thank you as well for letting Seth come, for supporting Bella today. You're welcome, Billy said in his deep, gravelly voice, and I was surprised at the optimism in his tone. Perhaps a stronger truth was on the horizon. A bit of a line was forming, so Seth waved goodbye and wheeled Billy towards the food. Sue kept one hand on each of them. Angela and Ben were next to claim us, followed by Angela's parents, then Mike and Jessica, who to my surprise were holding hands. I hadn't heard they were together again. That was nice. Behind my human friends were my new cousin-in-laws, the Delaney vampire clan. I realised I was holding my breath as the vampire in front, Tanya, I assumed from the strawberry tint in her blonde curls, reached out to embrace Edward. Next to her, 3 other vampires with golden eyes stared at me with open curiosity. One woman had long, pale blonde hair, straight as corn silk. The other woman and the man beside her were both black-haired, with a hint of olive tone in their chalky complexions. And they were all 4 so beautiful that it made my stomach hurt. Tanya was still holding Edward. Ah, Edward, she said. I've missed you. Edward chuckled deftly and manoeuvred out of the hug, placing his hand lightly on her shoulder, stepping back as if to get a better look at her. It's been so long, Tanya. You look well. So do you. Let me introduce you to my wife. It was the first time Edward had said that word since it was officially true. He seemed like he would explode from satisfaction saying it now. The Delaneys all laughed and lightly in response. Tanya, this is my Bella. Tanya was every bit lovely as my worst nightmares had predicted. She eyed me with a look that was more speculative than it was resigned, and then reached out to take my hand. Welcome to the family, Bella. She smiled a little ruefully. We consider ourselves Carlisle's extended family, and I'm so sorry about the recent incident when we did not behave ourselves as such. We should have met you sooner. Can you forgive us? Of course, I said breathlessly. It's so nice to meet you. The Collins are all evened up in numbers now. Perhaps it'll be our turn next, eh, Kate? She grinned at the blonde. Keep the dream alive, Kate said with a roll of her golden eyes. She took my hand from Tanya's and squeezed it gently. Welcome, Bella. The dark-haired woman put her hand on top of Kate's. I'm Carmen. This is Elazar. We're very pleased to meet you. Me too, I stammered. Tanya glanced at the people behind her. Charlie's deputy, Mark, and his wife. Their eyes were huge as they took in the Delaney clan. We'll get to know each other later. We have eons of time for that. Tanya laughed as she and her family moved on. All the standard traditions were kept. I was blinded by the flashbulbs as we held the knife over a spectacular cake. Too grand, I thought, for our relatively intimate group of friends and family. We took turns shoving the cake into each other's faces. Edward manfully swallowed his portion as I watched in disbelief. I threw my bouquet with atypical skill right into Angela's surprised hands. Emmett and Jasper held with laughter at my blush, while Edward removed my borrowed garter, which I shimmied down nearly to my ankle very carefully with his teeth. With a quick wink at me, he shot it straight into Mike Newton's face. And then the music started. Edward pulled me into his arms for a customary first dance. I went willingly, despite my fear of dancing, especially dancing in front of an audience, just happy to have him holding me. He did all the work. I twirled effortlessly under the glow of canopy of lights and bright flashes by the camera. Enjoying the party, Miss Cullen, he whispered into my ear. I laughed a little. That'll take a little while to get used to. We have a while, he reminded me, his voice exultant. He leaned down to kiss me while we danced. Cameras flickered feverishly. The music changed. Charlie tapped Edward on the shoulder. It wasn't nearly as easy to dance with Charlie. He was no better than I was. So we moved safely from side to side in the tiny square formation. Edward and Esme spun around us like Fred Astor and Ginger Rogers. Yeah, I think that's 5 minutes. Blech. Blech. That was gross. So, Connor, challenge completed. Your turn.